I'm the legend from the Paul Feinbaum Show, and I'm in the starting lineup.
I'm Terry Quillian, and I'll be in the starting lineup every Saturday morning.
Yes, I'm Keefer, and I'm part of the starting lineup.
The starting lineup, 10:30 to 11 on ABC 3340 every Saturday morning. You know the old saying, going to bed at 2 with a 10 and waking up at 10 with 2? That's what you're getting right here with. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:30 in the morning, but you got all 10s across the board is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You understand? I mean, you go to bed
I was trying to guess if that was a shot or what that was.
I'm never going to shake a shot of ourselves. You kidding me? Keefer, the legend, Tony Curry. This is the starting lineup. We are on every single ABC 3340 Saturday morning at 10:30 right here, talking college football. We always have special guests. No guests this week, so we're going to spend a little extra time with the legend on the couch here. So we're going to tone it down just a little bit, bring it back a little bit, because you are known. It's funny because every time I'm sitting at the home, my phone is blowing up every time you're on the Paul Feinbaum Radio Network, because I hear legend talking about you. My banker called me yesterday, Clint Calvert from Bryant Bank. Hey, the legend's talking about you guys doing the show. I said, that's the man. It's the man. He's taking care of us. So everything, but it's all good. And I know you want to talk about a little SEC football.
I do. Well, first I want to start off with a real hot headline and just kind of frame how excited we are to be part of this here on ABC 3340. Coming up on August 31st, it's opening day for college football. We are here with you at 10:30 in the morning for the usual time to start for the starting lineup. And at 11 o'clock, our time, the kickoff to the season on ABC, Clemson and Georgia.
How about that?
That's a pretty good game to lead into. We'll have Alabama in a lot of weeks because the noon time slot's going to be a lot more emphasized this year on SEC ABC. So there's going to be a big time game every single week right here on 3340 at noon. So how good is that?
Yeah, get some Notre Dame, get some LSU. Have you seen that line by chance? That Clemson-Georgia line?
I know it's out. I want to say 5.5 or 6.
Let's go 13.5.
Is it that high?
Yeah, Georgia.
Maybe that was the first half line I saw.
That may be the first quarter line.
I mean, Dabo wanted us to lower expectations.
Hey, listen.
I guess he's getting his wish.
And this is perfect for what you wanted to get into, because Dabo is one of just a handful of coaches that have decided that they're not going to go with the transfer portal. They're not going NIL. They're going old school. This is the way college football, we should be able to build it from the inside out and should be able to field a championship team. Now, that being said, he loses 4 games last year. They get right out the schneid, lose to Duke right at the beginning of the season. Obviously lost some games. If they had played those teams at the end of the season, would have won, and they turned the season around by while the stock is low, right? What he said?
Yeah.
But you know what? This football team is trying to do it differently than any other football team out there. Oklahoma's doing it, Nebraska's doing it, Alabama's doing it. Everyone's going out there to the transfer portal. It's open. It's open season. Is it possible to win a national title? And your shots and your ideas on what he's trying to do as far as in trying to actually win a championship without going to a transfer portal or using an NFL.
Legend, if Dabo had gotten the Alabama job, which a couple of years ago seemed to be a possibility, and the first thing he said was, now all of you lower your expectations. You're not giving us enough credit for what we've accomplished in the past. I don't think that would sit very well with you or the Alabama fan base.
No, I said on Feinbaum, if Alabama hired Dabo, I was setting myself on fire on the 50-yard line. He's out of touch with reality. Alabama had 15 transfers this year. I think Georgia had 14 transfers. Clemson had 0. And the reality is this is now a year in and year out where you have to reconstruct a roster yearly. And if you can't do it yearly, you in trouble, and Clemson is in trouble with this philosophy.
Well, if the problem is if you're not going to transfer players in, you can't keep from transferring players out.
Exactly.
So you're losing players, but you're not bringing anybody in to replace this kid.
Yeah, you better play the game. I wanted to talk about this primarily based on a couple of coaches' interviews. Paul was at Greystone last week for the Traditions Tournament. All the coaches play in the Pro-Am, so he interviewed Caleb DeBoer and Hugh Freeze and Kirby Smart and Nick Saban. Nick was kind of funny. Remember, he at the start of the interview says, "Wait a minute, I'm a journalist now. Why don't I interview you?" And Feinbaum was really kind of thrown off by that. So this whole evolution of Nick Saban is going to be interesting. But Nick has gotten himself, we talked about this a couple weeks ago on the show, Nick has got himself kind of involved in this whole NIL and how do we solve this problem. and he's on that bandwagon. I want to get your guys' reaction. He's on that bandwagon of, we got to go to Washington and get Congress to help us, and we got to get a bill, and we got to have protection against people filing lawsuits every time they don't like something. That's a great, pie in the sky attitude. But I don't think it's realistic, fellas, because this is America. If somebody does you wrong or you think they did you wrong, you can't prevent them from filing some kind of action. And then Nick says, well, it needs to be a level playing field and there needs to be competitive balance. I think that's just a pipe dream, because I think you're going to have the better equipped schools with the most money and the most resources are going to be on a whole different level. This dream of having everybody kumbaya, I don't think it's realistic. What do you guys think?
What I think we can't agree on is something's going to change. I think we've let the toothpaste out of the tube. We're not stuffing back in that NLI action.
And it's gone everywhere.
And we're not changing the transfer portal. That's over. It's done. We're not going to go back to our old ways. I do think that there is going to have to be some type of patriarch. If it's going to have to be some type of situation where the bigger schools, we're talking about Alabama, Ohio State, some of those bigger schools getting a bigger piece of the pie. The smaller schools will get theirs. They're not going to have the biggest seat at the table. They've never had the biggest seat at the table, and they've never had an opportunity really to vie for a national title, although they will now with maybe up to 14 teams being in the championship. And of course, they are giving them a slice, saying, listen, okay, you may not be in the top 4 conferences, top 5 conferences, whatever, but we will give you the highest ranking. And we're Cinderella fans. We know this. We like the Cincinnatis. We like the Tulsas. We like some of those teams, the Boise States, to get a shot to play for a national title. So I think they're going to have an opportunity. As far as Nick Saban being the commissioner of the NCAA, he's probably the smartest guy to talk to right now. I do think things need to change quickly, though, because we've got this lawsuit, this antitrust lawsuit out there that right now is up to $4.2 billion. I mean, you can go all the way back to the Madden games. Man, these kids want their money, and they want their money now, and they want it retroactive, brother. It's not going to happen, so we need to figure something out.
Yeah, I heard this morning on the way here that all the commissioners of the conference have been in meetings this week trying to come to a figure that they can offer to settle these lawsuits. Mm-hmm. And back to your point, Kit, which was great, I think of the New York Yankees in baseball and how they have had millions and millions and millions of dollars more than teams like the Orioles and the Pirates and like the Reds, your favorite team, and they have prospered because of that. And you see that in college football. You're going to have the haves and the have-nots. You're going to have teams like Ohio State say, we don't care. We putting out $30 million to win a title, and you're going to have teams that are going to have to adapt to it. Now, the Pirates and the Orioles and the Reds, they figured out a way. Now some of these teams, less fortunate than the Ohio States and Alabama, going to have to figure a way around the system.
The problem with that is you're going to have to pony up that money every single year.
Yes.
I think the money's out there, but I think it's going to dry up every year. I may be a guy, I may be a car dealership, I may have $2 or $3 million. I want you to go get the special quarterback out of Mississippi, okay? Mm-hmm. I've got that money, but I'm not going to have that money year in and year out. I'm not going to have that type of money to support.
Every year.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to do it every single year. So you may have those years where you really prop it up, and you may have a year where, every single player in USC is making $25,000 on the front line. You may have that. I don't see that being a long-lasting recipe. We know this. We're seeing this in the NBA right now. Just because you got 3 stars doesn't mean you're going to win a championship.
No, it doesn't.
Ask Kevin Durant. Just because you get the best camaraderie guys, I think that's where Dabo's thinking. He's old school. He wants that.
I can coach him up.
He wants that leadership.
Yeah.
He wants to coach him up, and he wants that chemistry. He wants that chemistry as opposed to taking 25 of the best guys, throwing them onto a football field with a subpar coach and saying, go win me a championship. I don't think that's going to happen either.
Well, let's set something I think is very confusing. You only hear 2 terms. You hear NIL and you hear transfer portal. That's the big problems. It's the Wild West. NIL is not, and this is something I think everybody really needs to understand. NIL is name, image, likeness. That means you can be the spokesman for a car dealer or some guacamole or whatever product that you're going to put your face on and do commercials for. That is not the same thing as what's happening with the schools in this revenue sharing discussion, because you're not being rewarded for your name, image, or likeness. You're being paid to come to that school to play. That's a whole different thing. And that's being funded almost exclusively right now by these collectives, which a couple of years ago were called boosters, and they were the most evil guys on campus. They were giving guys $100 handshakes. They were barred from facilities. Now the boosters are the collectives that are supposed to be raising all this money. And Tony, your point is exactly right. It's not sustainable over the long term. Schools, last year, SEC schools averaged about $90 million in revenue from college football, and the players are talking about, maybe 20%. That doesn't seem that unreasonable to me, but you get all these experts saying, well, they're not going to be able to sustain paying that kind of money. Well, a lot of businesses that take in $90 million will pay their employees, and that's basically what we're talking about here. They can pay their employees 20%.
These collectives were created so you could not have a pay-for-play system in place. You cannot pay a player to play. You're like, what are you talking about? They're getting paid to get play there. They have to use a middleman or a collective in order to say, listen, I'll give you $15,000 to talk about this particular car dealership, and then you go play football, and that way we mash it up and you make your money. They are trying to figure out, though, and put it in the hands of the schools to run their own collectives, because basically what we got with these collectives, what we got with these collectives now, and these collectives are considered non-for-profits. And we're starting to see a lot of this right now, and that is, and I've had some remarkable conversations with Mark Ingram, the UAB Directors Chair, which is a podcast I do on Tony Curry Radio. We got these collectives who are doing these deals where they raise a certain amount of money and a certain percentage that goes to charity. Okay, it goes to Nick's kids or something along those lines, and then another part of that money goes to the player, part of it goes to the school, and they're trying to work that around. And we're finding out that maybe 1 or 2% of that money is actually going to some of these charities. The rest of it's going to the players' pockets, or going to their agents, or their families' dealerships. And so that's where it's getting a little sticky. So I do think there's just way too many fingers in the pie right now to make this work.
Legend, you've got agents involved now. Another dirty word from a couple years ago. If anybody dealt with an agent, ask Herschel Walker. He didn't get to play his senior year because he shook hands and talked to an agent. That was way back in the prehistoric days, but even up to the modern day, an agent was not a character that was welcome in the equation. Now you've got kids transferring every year and talking about transferring halfway through seasons because the agent said, we can do a lot better if we go somewhere else. And guess why they're doing that? Not for the player. They're getting paid 20 to 25% for their advice.
Yeah, I think we've seen a very dark side of this whole situation that we're talking about today in the Caden Proctor situation.
Oh, that's a perfect
He went to Iowa. He got all their NIL money, put it in his pocket, said hello, got in shape over the summer, and said, Alabama, I want to come home.
I don't want to be
Welcome back.
I don't want to be a children of the corn. I want out of here.
So like the dark side of wrestling and the dark side of comedy, there's a dark side to college football.
And let's remember, too, we're dealing with 17, 18, and 19-year-old kids. We're telling them to go look at 6 or 7 different campuses. They're going there, doing all their little visits, and all of a sudden they decide, hey, listen, this is where I want to go to school. My son's got this thing at Clemson where they can take as much time off school as they want if they're homesick.
Wow.
They don't have to, and most schools do this. They do it at Alabama, they do it at Auburn. If you're a freshman, you get in there and you're homesick, they let you go without an excuse.
I had no idea.
Well, sure, and I understand that because, you got 18-year-olds that have never lived away from home. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't even know how to do their own laundry, and they're eating Twinkies 24 hours a day. All of a sudden, we're telling them to have to hit the books. Now we got football being played in these things, and now we're telling these kids, hey, listen, you're going to go here, but I think we're going to go ahead and get you all entrenched. You're going to move into your dorm, and then we're going to have you transfer out and go to a different school and perhaps do it a second time. I don't think these kids are into this transfer portal thing. I think they want the playing time. I think they want the cash.
Yes.
But I don't think the idea, if I'm saying to you, Kip, hey, listen, you're going to start at Alabama, but there's a good chance that maybe by the end of the year you're going to be at Auburn and maybe Florida by 2025. You're like, Dad, give me a place to stay. I want to play football. I may have to sit out a year and make sure my wares are appreciated, but that's what I'd rather do than have to be moving all over the country and find out that I'm that rich little snot kid who never takes a snap.
Yeah, amazing. Paul Feinbaum interviewed Hugh Freeze at Greystone, and it was the damnedest interview I've ever seen with a college football coach. He was the biggest poor me, tone in his voice. I'm so exhausted. All they're asking me to do, they're demanding I raise money with the collectives. And he says, this isn't sustainable. This isn't going to be able to pay the freight. We're going to have to come up with some kind of plan. All of these guys are saying the same thing. Hugh just sounded like he was completely exhausted already with the process. Hey, you, guess what? This just in. This is just the beginning, dude. You're going to have to find a way to cope with this, just like Dabo is. And then Paul finally, about 6 minutes into the interview, said, you know, Dabo, I haven't asked you yet about football. What about wins and losses this year? He goes, we're going to be better, but I don't know what. You know, he's basically telling Auburn fans, don't expect much because I'm too busy messing around with this other stuff, and we got to wrap it up.
No, I think he needs to get together with Brian Kelly, and they need to go down the yellow brick road and hold hands and just go cry together because that's what they're doing.
I'm only making $11 million a year. How can this?
And I try to keep this above board, and I try to make sure that we talk about football. But someone tell you freeze, but shave it off. Just shave the face off.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the bum look. I know the bum looks in, but it is for 18 and 19-year-olds, not for 47-year-old coaches. Shave the face and look clean.
We got to go to break. Yeah. We will continue this as we get another opportunity later in the show. Kip Keefer, Tony Curry, and the legend on the starting lineup. Stay right where you are.
The Birmingham Racecourse Casino turns dreams into reality. Like Roger M., who just won over $51,000. And Rebecca, celebrating a life-changing jackpot of $160,000. You could be the next to dance the Icky Shuffle with a big win.
Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! I'm a winner! I'm a winner! Woo! And you can be a winner too!
Don't miss your chance to be our next big winner at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino.
Hey, things are going great at the Birmingham Racecourse Casino. If you haven't come out, check it out. And remember, your entertainment dollars do a lot more than keep you happy with a big jackpot. A lot of those proceeds get spread around to all kinds of vital resources and facilities in our town, including the Alabama Wildlife Center, which is headquartered out at Oak Mountain. Let's take a quick stop in there and see how our feathered friends are benefiting from your entertainment dollars.
My name is Chris Sykes, and I'm the Executive Director at the Alabama Wildlife Center. The Alabama Wildlife Center is Alabama's oldest and largest wildlife rehabilitation facility. We've been a nonprofit for 45 years. We've been in Oak Mountain State Park for upwards of 35 years. We have a dual mission of rehabilitation of injured and orphaned birds of Alabama and also education. The money that we receive from the Birmingham Racing Commission is so incredibly important to our organization. We take in upwards of 2,000 injured birds each year. So as a nonprofit, public funds is so vital to keep our organization going, to keep our mission alive and healthy, and we wouldn't be able to do the work that we're doing without the Birmingham Racing Commission. Whenever you come to the Alabama Wildlife Center, it's a family-friendly place that you can raise your kids, you can teach them about the importance of wildlife, and you might meet some feathered friends that are glove trained. You never know what you're going to expect at the Alabama Wildlife Center. For more information about our organization and our mission and what you can do to help us, visit our website at alabamawildlifecenter.org.
You know, you used to have an idea for a show, and you'd have to run up the flagpole, and it would have to go to your PD, and then have to go to the OM, and the OM would go to the GM, and then you go to the GSN to make sure something's sellable, and then they have to go to New York, and New York go to LA, and LA would go, it's not a very good idea. Next thing you know, you're 6 weeks into it, and the idea has been done by somebody across the street like 3 weeks earlier. Tony Curry Radio, man. We do it all. We got 14 different shows. Kip Keefer's got a fantastic show called Need to Know, where I just open his pie hole for 30 minutes. And I think he went 47 minutes this past week. It was unbelievable. We do a Keefer and Curry show, which I thought was very, very relevant and very poignant. We did those shows, and we get little deep and dark on some of those once in a while, which are fantastic. And of course, we have a Leonard Skinner show. We have a show with Billy F. Gibbons from ZZ Top. We have a show with the Heart of Alabama Food Bank. And we do a show with Southern Precision Staffing, which is the ACDC Live Wire Wednesday show last night in Kuchenkarten, Germany. ACDC kicked off their 50th anniversary tour in Germany last night. It was brought to you by Southern Precision Staffing for all your staffing needs. 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828. If your staff is banged up, and we do this during the college football season where we have injury reports, if your staff is injured up, maybe you got the flu running through it, maybe you just need some good hard workers, they can do it when it's IT, construction, or anything else. Southern Precision Staffing, the way to go. They're right here in Hoover, Alabama, but they serve the United States of America just like Kip and Tony does here on the starting lineup. It is Southern Precision Staffing, 205-682-2828. Turn around and download that TKR app. Get special programming, classic rock to the bone, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Hey, we really appreciate all of you tuning in every Saturday for the starting lineup. Well, now I'm going to give you another assignment because starting at 8 o'clock on Saturday mornings, a brand new show on WJOX 94.5 FM. It is Game Time, Jocks Game Time on Saturday mornings. Kip Keefer, Terry Quillian, and all kinds of great special guests to set the table and get you ready for your sports weekend. And we mentioned at the top of the show here how excited we are with all of the upcoming schedule on ABC, on SEC football. We've got you covered all morning long. We had the legend on last week on the show. Ledge, we really enjoyed your input on Game Time and hope you're going to be a frequent visitor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great stuff. So remember, 8 o'clock to 10 on WJOX 94.5. It also streams live on JocksFM.com. It is Game Time on Jocks every Saturday morning, 8 to 10, and then get ready for the starting lineup. Now, without further ado, we got to bring in our man in Vegas. He missed out last week, was attending to some important personal business, but everything's back on track now. And Case Keefer has thoughts on the PGA Championship, on the NFL Rookie of the Year that you can already get odds on and action, and a whole bunch more. Here he is, Case Keefer, with this week's report from Vegas.
Hey, it's Case Keefer coming to you from Las Vegas for my weekly Best Bet segment as part of the starting lineup, and now also WJOX's Game Time. Going to go with a little bit of a grab bag approach again this week after the rare off week last week. Wasn't able to do the segment, and that's a big disappointment because I'm pretty sure I would have given out a bet that has gained a ton of value in the meantime. One thing I bet last week was Rory McIlroy to win the PGA Championship at 15-1. I thought it was a great spot for his odds to drop going into Quail Hollow, a golf course, that he dominates, and of course he rolls to a victory. Now pre-PGA Championship, his odds slashed in half, plus 750. I don't think he's bettable there, although I shouldn't be talking pre-tournaments. By the time you listen to this, we are 2 rounds in, and if you took my advice earlier, at least on the show, I said Xander Schauffele at 21-1 was the bet in the PGA, and that's looking good right now. He's going off the board at 10 or 12-1, so maybe now Saturday we'll see how the leaderboard is shaking out, but Xander's not even a guy I would mind getting in on later if you have the opportunity. I think he's playing as well as anyone in the world. He's catching a lot of grief for all these second places, but look who he's finished in second to. Rory chases him down ultimately at Quail Hollow last weekend, as I already mentioned. The Players Championship, Scotty Scheffler, who's won basically every tournament he's entered, chases him down. I think Xander's time is coming, and I think you're still going to get a good price on him if he's in contention because no one wants anything to do with him, known as a choker, but I think he's too good of a player. I think his time is coming. If he is up there after these 2 rounds, which when you're listening, I wouldn't mind buying on him. And, it's not easy right now in any golf tournament going against Scotty Scheffler with as hot as he is, but I just think his odds have gotten too low, plus 450 going into the tournament. I don't think you can play that. We actually haven't seen him in a few weeks. He's had a child. Who knows? Could be a little different here, so I would not be surprised at all if he runs away with this tournament, but it's the PGA. This is traditionally the one tournament with the setups and things that, you can get a little bit longer shot winners. There's more guys in it, so if Scotty Scheffler's up there lurking going into the final round, I wouldn't mind taking a position against him, going maybe a lower name guy who's higher on the leaderboard. Ultimately, it's going to depend who it is. You can check out my stuff at LasVegasSun.com. I'll be writing on Saturday. Maybe I can give some thoughts there. But I'm going to be trying to beat Scotty Scheffler after he came through for us in the Masters at 10-1. Hopefully it's Xander Schauffele, but you can also look for some longer shots. I think there might be some value at Valhalla, even though I'm recording ahead of time. I can't really tell you what happened in the first 2 rounds. But look out for Xander. Look out for some other guys. Let's continue with the grab bag theme and go to the NHL, where we have been building a Conn Smythe award portfolio through the postseason. We have Matthew Tkachuk from the Panthers at 18-1 and Seth Jarvis from the Hurricanes, I believe, at 140-1 as part of the show. The Jarvis one could be dead by the time you're listening. I'm recording this before Game 6 between the Hurricanes and the Rangers, or the Hurricanes could be going into a Game 7 at Madison Square Garden tonight. Either way, I think we got good value on that one. Jarvis slowed down a little bit this series, but if they get through, he's still got a chance. Tkachuk at 18-1. I do think the Panthers will eventually get past the Bruins and be in the Eastern Conference Finals. The one I'm going to add here is from the West. I'm going to go with an Oiler, and look, if the Oilers win the Stanley Cup, it's probably going to be Connor McDavid who wins the Conn Smythe, best player in the world. Everyone will be looking to award him, but right now his odds are just too low. I actually have bet him. I have him at plus 1050 to win the Conn Smythe, but I can't bet him at 5 or 6 to 1, especially when Leon Draisaitl typically scores more goals than him, has more goals than him this postseason, and has odds like 6 times higher. You can find Leon Draisaitl at 30 to 1 heading into the weekend. If he just puts up these ridiculous goals and they win the Stanley Cup, he's going to have a chance to win it. Maybe if the Oilers get there, we can revisit and add a McDavid position, but right now for the show, we're going to add Leon Draisaitl to Matthew Tkachuk and Seth Jarvis. The last thing I wanted to touch on, how about the NFL? The schedule out, week 1 betting is underway. I know everyone already wants to know what sides you're on in week 1. I don't have anything to give you right now, but you can look at LasVegasSun.com. Maybe I'll touch on it in my weekend wagers column. Kind of forced some early plays last year, and I think it went really well, so I'm going to revisit that. Maybe we'll see some other ones, but I've been betting a lot of awards, and I thought, which one should I share on the show? And then I realized we have a big Alabama tie-in to one of them. So let's dive into Rookie of the Year, where I have made 2 plays in the last few weeks. To me, the Rookie of the Year market this year is all about these quarterbacks. Of course, it looks like we're going to have 5 big-name rookie quarterbacks coming into the season. I think one of them is going to win it. To me, Jaden Daniels and Drake May are write-offs. I just don't love the positions they're in. I don't, necessarily not selling on the 2 long-term, but I don't love what they have around them. Caleb Williams probably going to win, but he's like 2 to 1 right now. I think you hope he gets off to a rough start and maybe buy on him later. The 2 guys I'm lowest on, I think, are in by far the best situations. Bo Nix with Sean Payton, J.J. McCarthy, which is the ridiculous Vikings weapons, Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson, great play callers. So I bet Bo Nix at 30 to 1 and J.J. McCarthy at 15 to 1, hoping one of them gets off to a fast start. I just think it should be more grouped together with all these quarterbacks. Maybe we can touch on that more later. But as always, thanks for listening to my best bets. Back to the starting lineup and game time.
Welcome back to Starting Lineup. Tony Curry, Kip Keefer here, Saturday morning, ABC 3340. 2 things I want to get into before we let you go to next week. The Preakness this weekend and what happened to this gambling bill. I thought we were all ready to go. We did an entire show on it, and all of a sudden it's getting slid under the carpet, and no one's talking about it. Start there. What's going on?
On the gambling bill, welcome to Alabama, everybody. They're for it. They're against it. They love it. They can't stand it. I don't like where the money is going. You're getting more than I'm getting. Guess what? It's a formula for disaster. It blows up like it always does. There's still, I think, 1 day officially left in the session. Maybe there will be some kind of a miracle pull out of the fire. But right now it looks like ding dong, the gambling bill is dead.
Second race in the crown.
Yeah, unbelievable. The Preakness in Baltimore, my friend Chip Lake, who's been on a lot of our shows, our Auburn expert, he is part owner of number 6. Sees the Gray today. So congratulations, Chip Lake. One of our guys is going to be a big-time owner walking up with his horse for the Preakness. But sorry, Chip, I can't pick Sees the Gray. I'm rooting for him, but I can't pick him. Mystic Dan stole the Derby, got to the lead. I think some of the riders did not respect him enough for his staying power. I don't think that's going to happen again. I'm going right back to the horse that I had in the Derby, Chasing Freedom. Flavian Pratt, I think, learned some lessons about this horse. Got to shake him up a little bit earlier, keep him closer. I like him. And Tuscan Gold for Chad Brown from the number 8 position. That's my top 2 picks, and I think both them will run down in the stretch. Mystic Dan, Muth, the big favorite, was scratched yesterday, so that's my Preakness forecast.
A week closer to college football and a week further into the summer. ABC 3340 Starting Lineup back at you next weekend.
Thanks, Ledge, for being with us.
Awesome.